Are we recording? Yes, we are recording. So today is the 26th of July 2018. This should be the second video in this series, which is probably titled OpenBCI Diary. So in the first video I recorded and screen recorded how I put this Greentek Gelfree S EEG cap on my head and how I connected it to the OpenBCI 32-bit board. Now this video, as you can see, started with a reading already. So in this video I'm going to try to focus on how to get rid of this 50 Hz hum and what to do if, for example, you manage to get rid of it and then somehow it crawls back. So here are a few ideas you can check. It's really down to experimenting as far as I can tell at the moment. So let's just put on the notch filter and switch on the notch filter. I switch it on to 50 Hz because I'm here in the UK. And then I keep quiet for a few seconds. And the notch filter seems to be doing its job very, very well. It's gone. Now, sometimes you think this is great, it's gonna stay there, but then you move around a bit or do something, touch the computer or whatever, and it comes back. Now, here are a few ideas that I think are probably useful. So when I put the EEG cap on, I'm on my own, so I can't move the hair, the stick, to the left, to the right, making space for the electrode. So what I have to do is I have to make sure that the electrodes are wet, quite wet, not too wet. And then I put the cap on with the electrodes already in the cap, so here is called the shell. And then I move the electrodes around, kind of making space for themselves to be able to have the best connection to the skull, the skin, as possible. And then when you feel that when I feel that my skull is wet as well, my skin, then that should be okay. But sometimes it doesn't. But this is probably crucial. Crucial meaning a good connection with the skull. So I make sure that the skin is wet by doing what I just have described. When it comes to the shoes, I don't know, I was told recently. So most of these ideas come from the internet, as well as Frederick and William on the OpenBCI forum. So this could be an interesting question, what shoes you have on, what you are standing on, what room you are in, etc., etc., what you are surrounded by. Then mics. I am using the computer's internal microphone. This computer is a MacBook Pro. If you have an external microphone, perhaps try to use another microphone or use the internal microphone just to make sure that that mic doesn't cause any extra hum somewhere here. So I didn't have a problem with this, but perhaps someone else has. So when it comes to sweatiness, it's a very, well, actually it's not very hot, but it's hot in the UK. It's the hottest day today. I don't think I'm particularly sweaty, but it could be a problem when you do EEG readings. So maybe it's a good idea to wash your hair and then dry it and then use the wet EEGs. Again, to experiment with cable length. So this is an interesting thing. It's not really the length I've been having problems with, but with what I have later on this list, orientation, move around. So let me just quickly, when I'm here with the cable length, show you by using this iPhone connected to the computer what is here, what's the setup. So let's just monitor the 50 Hz as well. So this is the OpenBCI powered by the battery, and then we have this adapter cable going up to my head, right? And then, let's just turn this around. And then, so this iPhone is connected with a cable, a charging cable, to a USB splitter, USB hub, and something happened. Okay, it's coming back. The USB hub, and that USB hub has a few things in it. So it has the dongle, it has the black cable is an external hard drive I'm recording this screen recording onto, and then I have this iPhone plugged in it, so I can record the video too from the iPhone. And the last cable is the keyboard, and then this hub goes into the laptop here. Now I have an external monitor plugged in as well, which I could probably disconnect. And then of course I have the power from the mains going into the computer. And I have these speakers, and these speakers are on, and I don't know, they're connected to a sound card, etc., but it doesn't really make a difference. Now the EEG is going up and down. Probably because I'm moving. Let's just finish this little tour. Over there is the extension lead, and that extension lead has a few things plugged in. Another extension lead that goes down there. So there are many cables around here actually, which could cause a problem. But there doesn't seem to be a problem at the moment with this setup. So let's just put this back here. And stand again. Probably I forgot to say, I'm standing on something that is made of plastic. It's a yoga mat, and I have some kind of shoes on. Okay, so back to the plot. So even after moving a tiny bit around, there is no contamination. There is no hum. There is no increased amplitude around 50 Hertz. So that is fine. But the thing is, sometimes with exactly the same setup, or with having everything, more or less everything switched off, there is that hum. So let's just do some moving around. I'm stepping off the mat. I'm further away from the computer and kind of everything. And the 50 Hertz is there. What if I just touch this cable? Somewhere here. The 50 Hertz is there. So let's just put this cable back to where it was. I step back to the mat, which is made of plastic. And this seems to be okay now. So when it comes to moving the cables around, or let me just step away from the mat, but leaving the cables there where it is. Okay, so that doesn't seem to make a difference whether I'm stepping on the mat or off the mat. So I could unplug the laptop and run it on batteries, which is sometimes a good idea. Unplug everything else, so the keyboard, the mouse, the external hard drive, if you don't need to record anything onto it, etc., etc. You probably don't need to record anything to the iPhone. Sometimes even doing that after when I had this 50 Hertz peak, it didn't make a difference. What I thought for a long time what can make a difference is having the dongle, the USB little dongle in the computer, in the MacBook, instead of the USB hub. But that didn't really help either. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it didn't. So other things you can do is switch off all the plugs, touch the laptop case. So that is quite interesting. So now I'm still on the mat, I'm not really moving. I'll stay quiet for a bit and then I'll touch the laptop. Didn't make a change, but sometimes it did. Sometimes touching the laptop made that 50 Hertz hum stronger. I'm touching it again, maybe with both hands. Doesn't matter. Sometimes when I had everything plugged off, disconnected, the power as well from the computer, the only way to get rid of the 50 Hertz hum was to ground myself, I guess, by touching the laptop. So again, there are so many variables. I think really it comes down to experimenting or knowing physics much more than I do. Take a few steps away. I did this. Shielding, I think I need to look into that a bit further. Move the electrodes, I have done that. I talked about this. Add more water, I think this is crucial. There are little holes on the electrodes, so if you don't want to move the shell around, or you don't want to take it off to wet the electrodes again, then there might be a way with a syringe to add more water to the electrodes. I haven't done that yet. Computer fan, now that's an interesting thing. I downloaded this app where I can monitor the fan, and let's just have a look. So at the moment there is no increase around 50 Hertz. Well, there actually is a tiny bit. Mainly in the purple signal, which is the one measuring EEG in the back. So where does that come from? Let's just maybe do something with the fan. This didn't really make a difference. Again, it's a hot day, so the fans have been on since the beginning of this video. Yes, so these are the things I've been trying, and I can say that some of them work better than others. When it comes to by a live EEG reading, I mean, you go somewhere and you have to measure someone's EEG, or it's a performance or whatever, then you might have less time to fuff around with getting rid of this 50 Hertz. But anyway, this has been a longish video now, but I really want to talk about this. Any comments? Let me know.